Housing will never be affordable, and here is why. If tomato prices go up, everyone complains. If fuel prices go up, everyone complains. But if housing prices go up, most people celebrate, and the ones who actually complain get told that you should have bought it earlier. But this is strange because housing is not supposed to be a luxury product. It's shelter, one of the basic necessities of life. But what have we done with it? We've made it an investment first and then a necessity. So I dug deeper and found something disturbing. Affordable housing is not failing because we do not know how to build. It's failing because almost everyone powerful benefits when housing stays expensive. And this is broken by design. Housing is a weird product. It's a necessity as well as an investment. So it's not like gold, which is a pure investment, nor is it like a tomato, which is an absolute necessity. It lies in between. It's probably the only thing people buy and hope that it becomes less affordable for everyone else. If medicines become expensive, it's bad. If education becomes expensive, people protest. If food becomes expensive, everyone starts to protest. But if housing becomes expensive, everyone calls it wealth creation. So for me, this feels like a broken incentive system. Because if housing becomes affordable, millions of existing home buyers start feeling poorer. So the system develops a hidden goal. Keep prices high enough that the owners stay happy, but keep them low enough that there is demand from the young buyers who are just entering the market. And this whole balancing act is what is keeping the Indian real estate market afloat. And once you start to realize this, that's when things start to make sense. Why luxury housing is booming, why affordable housing is going down, why empty apartments don't become cheaper, and why in most Indian cities, one salary doesn't feel enough to buy a home. So there are a number of reasons for this. The first one is wealth trap. 50% of Indian household wealth is stored in real estate, and therefore it has become too important that it can't fail. So any drop in price is not only going to impact the billionaires, it's also going to impact the middle class families, also senior citizens who have a majority of the wealth stored in land or housing. It's going to affect them as well. So what happens if it impacts everyone? It becomes a political problem. So the government has an incentive to keep the prices up so that everyone is happy. Now add the non-resident Indians into this equation. So for an engineer in New York, a 2.5 crore apartment may be expensive until he converts it to dollars. But for a person in Hyderabad earning 20 lakhs per annum, it's a decade of their income. And in many major cities in India, NRIs make up a huge chunk of the premium housing demand. And once people earning in dollars compete with people earning in rupees, the dollar quietly starts influencing the local prices. The NRI gets an investment, and a local buyer gets pushed away and away from the city. And here's the part that people don't like talking about. Indian real estate doesn't operate like a normal competitive market. There's unsold inventory, but still the prices keep rising. Ideally, this shouldn't be happening. So how does this happen? The Indian real estate market is not one. There are multiple micro markets. You can see that Mumbai real estate is different from Hyderabad real estate. Even within Hyderabad, there are small chunks of places where the real estate market is booming. There are a lot of places where there's unsold inventory. So the market can't really correct itself. So it's very easy to manipulate these micro markets. You have the same brokers, you have the same lenders, you have the same channel partners, and you know that these are the developers developing in that area. So even if there's unsold inventory, no one wants to trigger a price war. Because if one person does it, everyone does it, and the prices go down, and no one wants that. So it's in everyone's interest to collectively keep the price stagnant and ensure no one is cutting down prices. So what happens? Projects slow down, inventory gets held, and new launches get delayed, but the prices remain constant. And then there's one additional phenomena that's distorting these markets. It's the double income trap. 20 years ago, a single salary could buy a middle class apartment. But what has happened now? Banks are asking if your spouse will also be able to contribute. And that question tells you a lot. Housing has stopped being priced for one income. Now it's being priced for double incomes. So ideally, dual income should have made housing more affordable, but what it has done is, it has increased the amount of money that a bank can lend. Therefore, with the rise in household incomes, there's also a rise in housing at the same rate. And that's why a lot of urban couples are feeling trapped. Ideally, with double incomes, you choose to become richer, but what you're doing is, you're just staying afloat with double incomes. And once the market adapts to this double income piece, there's no real going back. Because if prices started to adjust for one income, millions of people who have bought their houses right now, their prices would go underwater. And the system keeps stretching these household incomes further, bigger EMIs, smaller homes, two incomes, but they never become rich. And now you've heard all the problems, you think the government can fix it. But you know what? They have an incentive as well to keep the land values and apartment prices up. So how does prime urban area get used in India? Who does it get sold to? It gets sold to these developers who build gated communities, or they give it to corporate spaces, or they give it for premium malls. Never affordable housing that they can build. What do they do with the money that's coming from these auction land? They build affordable housing outside the city. Now, a poor person or a middle class family who starts living outside the city, they have to commute to the city for work. So the cheaper apartment outside the city is no longer cheaper. They have to commute. It takes 3 hours to get to the city. It's no longer cheap for them. So a lot of these cheap government housing projects, which are located outside the city, are usually empty. You would see this phenomena in the Kollur 2 BHK project in Hyderabad. So the real reason why affordable housing never arrives is not because there's just one villain. There are multiple villains in this entire chain. And they cannot be really called villains because they are acting rationally. Homeowner wants appreciation, banks want to lend more, investors want returns, the state wants more taxes and more land revenues. And the renter who wants the prices to crash once he gets a house wants that to increase. And when an entire economy is dependent on housing remaining expensive, cheap housing or anything related to that becomes dangerous to them. Because cheap housing inside cities, near metros, becomes a threat to everyone living in that area because they have bought it for a higher price. And therefore, nobody powerful really wants that. So cities start stretching outward and upward, commuting time takes longer and longer, young people start to feel out of the market, and two incomes become the new normal. Because somewhere along the way, we have started treating housing not as a necessity, but more of an investment. And once a necessity becomes an investment, the entire system will try to defend the price of that. So to conclude, if you own a property in India, congratulations, the system is working for you. But if you don't own one, at least now you know why the system is designed that way. Thanks for watching.